Welcome to the Life Chat Podcast, seeking the truth with Derek Powell, navigating you through. Every Wednesday night, new topics ignite. Join the journey, let's take flight. Bringing insights that change our view. Derek's voice, clear and true. Tune in each week, discover new light. Life Chat Podcast, reach a new height.
Welcome once again to Life Chat Podcast. Thank you everybody for joining me tonight. Thank you everybody for taking the time out of your day to be a part of the conversation, to be a part of the enlightenment, gain some education, possibly have just a fun process. You know, trying life is not always so rough that we can't smile and laugh. So, just to get right into it, tonight we have a very special guest. In my opinion, she's a very special person in my life, a friend of mine. She's a little trouble, but she's a friend of mine. Miss Dr. MichelleBoulden-Hammond, elaborate on the topic of holistic healing and the whole process of what holistic healing is and what definition, everything. So we're just gonna get right into it. I'm about to bring her on screen. I think she just walked through the back door. And here is Miss MichelleBoulden-Hammond.
Hello,
Hello, Miss Michelle.
I'm good. How are you, Life Chat?
Stop trouble. I told y'all, trouble. But anyway, Miss Michelle, there's been a couple of times that we had our encounters on social media, as far as I've been a guest on your episode of your podcast, Upfront Mind, Body, and Soul, but you have yet to be on mine solo. The last time that you were on an episode of my podcast, it was an alumni episode, and there's only a couple of us on there, but it went pretty well. And tonight, I think is going to go, if not the better, I know it'll at least be. It'll at least go the same, if not better. But I do want to just ask that, just give a little background about who you are and your purpose with holistic healing.
All right. So everyone, as he said, I am Dr. MichelleBoulden-Hammond. I am a holistic health practitioner in many modalities, and I will go over a few tonight. But let's say when you talk about holistic, you're actually talking about the overall well-being using alternative modalities outside of the scope of, your prescribed, what your doctors prescribe you. You can tell using the herbs, using what's from the earth, different things like that. And let me make this disclaimer. I am not anti-medicine, because if you're sick, you need to do your medicine. Let me put that disclaimer there. And as I'm saying that, anything that I'm saying tonight, you do consult with your physician, because certain herbs can either counteract with regular medications, just to let you know that. But also, I'm not giving you a cure or a diagnosis. So I'm putting no disclaimers out there. I'm just telling you what can some benefits as interventions to our well-being.
That disclaimer sounded pretty professional, like you've done that before. It's
yeah. Almost definitely, because the reason why I did that, because so many people who might be listening to that, I might be throwing off like a recipe or something. They'd be like, hey, you gave this recipe out. I got it from her. And this is what she said, it cured me. So no, I'm not curing. I'm not diagnosing. I'm just giving you some alternative things that you may or may not use. And let me say this too. What may work for some might not work for you. What might work for others, don't work for others, may work for others. So it's just the whole thing. You got to do your research. And I will actually give you anything that comes through the even for medicines, anything that comes through, I would say go to medlineplus.gov. That is the National Institute of Health, where you can look up even your household products to see what kind of chemicals and stuff is in it, what kind of medication, because I always say, if you go to your doctor, research your medications. That is one way to research a medication, because everything that goes to the NIH is what doctors use, even down to surgeries and different things like that. So it's beneficial to go to medlineplus.gov to hear everything that you want to know about medication, household products, even your herbals and supplements.
Kind of, I hear a little echo, like a robotic echo, um, with the connection. But we're gonna keep going anyway. All right, so thanks for the information too. But I do want to say, so with the topic being holistic healing, what can you give us exactly? Like, give us a definition of what holistic is. What does that mean? Because it's the term that recently I wasn't really familiar with until a few years ago. So I'm sure there are other people that would like to know what holistic healing is and what's the origins of holistic healing.
So the origins of it comes from many ways, many avenues, you can say. But like I said, it's basically finding an alternative out of another alternative way of presenting healing. As for instance, let me go here. Some people may not believe it, or think about different things. It's just like you taking an element. Because here's what I said. Everything God made is good. That's if you choose to believe in whatever you believe in, right? Everything that he made is good. He put things here. For instance, I use sound baths. That's another. I do sound healing. That's just using alternating frequencies a line through your body. There's work that people use, maybe Reiki. Reiki is an energy healing. So that is another typical thing that you can use. Meditation, that is putting yourself in a stance. If you have someone that's guided meditations, actually can help with breath work. You hear a lot of that. As a counselor, most modalities, therapists use these type of things. Psychologists use these type of things as alternatives to help with something that's, maybe you have anxiety. Of course, if you calm and do box breathing, hold, breathe out, purse rips your lips like that, box breathing. Those are type of modalities. Even if you're using like herbs, for instance, turmeric. A lot of people will use turmeric. Turmeric is like for inflammation, if you have gas problems or different things like that. So it's finding an alternative base to your well-being, mind, body, and soul.
And mind, body, and soul. Just to let everyone know, mind, body, and up front, mind, body, and soul is Dr. Michelle Boulden-Hammond's podcast. So we can check out her podcast episodes. And what nights are they? Do you have a
They're
podcast?
Tuesday nights, and I will be returning. I'm on break, but I'll be returning back the second week in September, the second Tuesdays at 7 p.m.
All right. So be sure to check out Dr. Michelle Boulden-Hammond on Upfront Mind, Body, and Soul podcast on Tuesday night. Also,
Tuesdays, 7
with the
p.m.
topic at 7 p.m. Thank you for reminding me. Also, back to the holistic healing, right? Um, I heard you mention about turmeric and different types of herbs and all different things. Is there any things that people will have to look out for with uh certain types of medical? I'm not sure, so that's why I'm asking. People have certain type of medical conditions. Is there anything that they wouldn't want to use, or
So,
how would
like I
that work?
said before, let me put that disclaimer again. I'm saying anytime that you want to even test out a herbal supplement, if you're on any type of medication, you should go to your provider and ask them, look, hey, I'm looking into something. This is what happened. Is it okay for me to take that? Because again, for instance, if you take certain things with birth control pills, and you can take certain types of herb with the birth control, and it can actually limit your birth control. So different things like that. Or if you're pregnant, there are certain herbs and stuff like you can't take St. John's worts, different things like that. You just have to be careful. Black cohosh, different things like that. So you have to be careful, and you have to educate yourself on herbs. A lot of people do a lot of supplements now. I will say that too. You see it now. That's the booming thing. Oh, you eat oranges, you do your diet, you do your juicing for 3 months and it helped me. I will say be leery of everything you see on TikTok. Again, go to your primary care physician because it's a lot of self-made people like that. And there's also a difference of there is a clinical herbalist and then there's folklore folk. So the difference and the distinguish of that is, and this is talking about holistic health, the difference in that is one is clinically designed. They know the ratios. With someone who's a folklore, it may have been passed down from generation to generations. Like I can say, for instance, I can remember getting the onion if a fever gum, tack it on the back of your foot. That is something been passed down from generation to generation. But again, those were things that we had because you got to think about it. We didn't have doctors back then. So you had to make do with what was in your cupboard. And I know you're seeing a lot of that now. A lot of these memes are telling you, and some of those things may have helped or, during the time, but there's history behind that. Again, a lot of the stuff has been gatekept. For instance, before years ago, you used to hear about there was a woman that come to your house and have a baby. So here's today's language, doulas. You hear today about doulas. So now you're seeing a lot more of that being as a modality to have, because one, I can say we have a bad ratio disparity with Black maternal health. So they have figured out they're having these doulas in the room because, again, for our people of color, they think we can take a lot of pain. So a lot of births and a lot of people have died due to the fact of they're saying, oh, it's just a part of your pain. So now it's interwise to have a doula in there because that can be your advocate and it also can help you along. You think about it. Years ago, this one lady would go to everybody's neighborhood. She would go from town to town delivering babies, but it got gatekeep. Oh, you got to have a license. You can't do that to get you in that hospital. And then, it's just everything, even down to you using your modalities of holistic. You got to be careful with that because, they might put a pinpoint on your head if they find that things is curing. Sometimes I hear people what they saying that I use this and this cured me. You're going to have to be very careful about that because, again, it's all about pharmaceutical too. Who's making money?
I want to know what the word doula that a lot of people probably wouldn't be familiar with. Well, no, I wasn't familiar with it. Is that another term for midwife?
Midwife, but here's the difference. You may be trained or certified, but you're not licensed. So you're basically adding to helping the family, the mother, or being that support system for that mother. So for instance, I can give you a scenario. So there was a lady in Georgia, and I know everybody watching Tyler Perry right now. So what happened on Sisters? There's an advocacy because if she had a doula in that room, that could have been something to help her be a more stress advocate. She had her friends in there, but if she had a doula in that room when her fever and all that type of stuff went down, those are important signs that, we scenario, and then a person got up and she bled to death and there it was. You know what I mean? You have that doula, you have that support. In customary in Moroccan, the mother don't eat. The mother, they breed the baby, do what they got to do, but the family takes in and take care of wrapping the baby, so the mother can really heal. And that's the process. You don't see that as much because as for me, even with me having my kids, I had to go right back to work in them 6 weeks. I didn't get a chance to sit back, but those are the type of things that these people can assist you as being a doula for the support, helping you through your breathing, doing a more holistic approach, bringing music into the room, sound, even helping your partner or something. In most cases, you might not have a partner. So that'll be your partner to help you through that. Of course, there'll be a doctor or midwife in the room and you can both team up as that too. Because a lot of people now are doing a lot of home births as well.
That's a lot of information, and I think sometimes I me personally, I get not overwhelmed, but taking a lot of information at one time is not good because I'll get I'll misinform myself. So I have to take small
Right.
bites. You know,
It's fine. It's
but
fine. It's a lot of practitioners, a lot of alternative practitioners out here. There's a lot of modalities that are used out here. I mean, you can talk about PEMF. That's another thing. Pulse electromagnetic frequency. That's using your body's pulses for certain parts in your body, your frequencies to read off what's going on. Again, because we're mostly water, frequency changes. I said this example the other day. I was in the forest a couple weeks ago. It was hot. We've been having nothing but heat, right? Heat indexes. So I did the sound bowl, the sound healing, which is frequencies. There's different frequencies. Again, there's self-phagial frequencies. There's 9 essential ones that you can listen to for certain things, right? So I actually did these frequency. I did the sound bowl, the sound healing out in the forest, open space. Mind you, it kind of shocked me because I know things can happen, but the trees and stuff started moving. And it wasn't because no wind came up. The frequency and the birds all came in a harmony. And actually, if you go to my page, you can hear it through those frequencies and that sound being in the atmosphere.
to some people that would sound a bit strange,
Oh
but
yeah. Yeah.
it depends on everybody. Everybody has their own belief system
Yeah,
and what they
everybody has
believe.
their own beliefs. And let me get back to that too, because there have been, because I use herbs, because I've used sound bowls, it's been noted in our community, it's been noted as witchcraft. Or you do yoga. If you understand the science, and everything I do, I lead it up behind the science. That people know me, you know me. I don't, I am a person who has faith. I am a person who uses these modalities, and I see how people can change. Someone, for instance, being in the substance as a substance counselor, beginning of a session, people be amped up because hey, they might just went and got high and then they came to their appointment. They're up in an uproar. At my office, I have a sign, a mat. Before you hit in the room, I say, please check your energy before you enter this space. So one particular day, a client came in, on 500. How can I assist you? Because that'll reflect off on me. Like, what in the world? How can I give you the best of me? So what I did, I say, look, let's calm down. Let's breathe. Then I'm going to need you to walk out, and I'm going to need you to stand around, and I'm going to need you to look at that sign on the butt. And they said, check your energy. Okay, Miss Hammond. That's just a part of changing your atmosphere. Frequency changes the atmosphere. It helps alleviate your mood, uplift your mood if you're in a feeling thing. But then I also will tell you, because of the tissues, again, this goes back to trauma. A lot of people don't realize that a lot of our trauma is stored within our bodies and in our cells. That might be over some people's head tonight, but a lot of that. So now you hear so much about somatic trainings, a lot of somatic. So what can happen also in these sound bowls, using the sound bowl, emotions might come out. People might cry, different things like that. So it's all different forms. And just to go back to yoga, because I heard people say, oh, you're not supposed to do yoga because you're worshiping some gods and different that. No, you're not worshiping no gods. It actually, by science, and you can go, I'll tell you again, research. Don't listen to just what I say. It has proved to help with movement and joint pains.
That's what I think. A lot of times, people may hear something and not research it. Always tell people, if you don't believe me, go check it for yourself.
Yeah.
So that's on the individual.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you hit on the part about how people believe one thing about what you're teaching or what you're practicing,
Right.
and because we heard the positives, but can you give
Right.
us a couple more of the negative, like the stigmas?
So for
Because I want people
instance,
to.
yeah, so for instance, as a doula, I have a cousin who, when I was talking about her that I took the doula class, oh, you doing that? That's not good. That's you bringing in all those you chanting and stuff in the room. No, I'm not chanting anything. It's me setting up an assessment. What do I want this? She wants from me to deliver during her pregnancy. Do she wants me to use some essential oil for pain? We know that certain oils that you can use, spearmint, you can use peppermint, you can use different types of essential oils to help alleviate pain. Peppermint for headaches, salves, and stuff like that. Music, soothing music. Think about it. The baby's on its way coming out. You putting that music and setting in the atmosphere. That can be a rhythm to help alleviate some pain. Not all the pain, but maybe help alleviate some pain. Hypnosis. That's another thing that some people don't even think about that. You can be hypnotized during childbirth or whatever else as well. So it's a lot. And I'm thankful. And I do have to shout out the Holistic Professionals of Color University. And I have to shout out Dr. Karen Haymore, who has been a lead, especially for the people BIPOC community, to help the BIPOC community understand that a lot of this stuff has been stripped away from us, which eventually when we came through that transatlantic slave, that's what was happening anyway. Please be honest. Where was Master coming to? Wasn't he coming down to Joe Lou's house to get those syrups? I'm like, it's just those type of things has been gatekept and taken away to say, oh, this is bad practices or this is witchcraft, but this is what stuff that we naturally we were using. And I'll blow people heads up too. You should be eating food according to your blood type. I'm just saying to get that test and find out some of the sickness that you have may be because you're eating the wrong food, because you should be eating food according to your blood type. So those different things, I'm telling you, it's a whole different thing.
You just made me feel so guilty. You just made me feel
No,
so
don't
guilty.
feel
As much as
guilty. Just get better. Just get better. And I'm being honest. I'm being transparent. Do I eat right all the time? No, but I know now some of the things that identify if I eat certain things, I'm gonna have a pain. And it's because I ate something I had no business eating. Just,
as much as I love to
even
eat.
down to your eyes. You know how they say the eyes are the windows of your soul? There is a alternative holistic practice that's called iridology. Now I'm gonna tell you, this is so funny because I went to the eye doctor about it and she was like, yeah, I've heard about it, but I don't know much about it. Because if you knew a little bit about iridology, if you have a diabetic person coming in there, yeah, you might do that little thing, but you could actually screen the eyes, the lens of the eyes, to see actually what type of things may be going on that you can go to your doctor and get blood tested for to see. So yeah, iridology is a part of another way. It's a whole lot of stuff out here that we have not been trained to know. And like I said, I'm so glad that I woke up on a lot of the practices to help in your well-being.
So is it safe to say that a lot of things are uh, pushed to the side or hidden, basically, like just not 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 accessible to us because of I guess the
Stigma.
powers that be,
A lot
or
because of
however you might
stigma.
put it.
Yeah, a lot of it's a lot of stigma. We think is woo, it's it's aromatherapy, color therapy, um, different things like that. People don't believe that you gravitate. We say, oh, that's my favorite color, but really, is that your favorite color? There are certain ways, certain things that you can look in a certain room. Actually, I can tell you now, infrared light that I have here. Infrared light. Get yourself some castor oil, you got some knee pain, use the infrared light, which is portable. You can find little ones on Amazon. Infrared light does a lot. Help with joint pain, helps with eczema if you have skin. It can actually do hair growth. It can actually do some cell rejuvenation, and it also can help with stress. And
Well,
you
with
can
each
also get a red
with
light
each
bulb.
one, it depends. Each one depends on the individual, though. Depends on the person, right? Because
Individual.
everybody's body's not going to react.
Right. Everybody's body
Right.
is not going to react. Everybody is different. Everybody is different. And I also will say, medication is a quick way, because a lot of people are like, well, I took this herb it ain't working. Trust me, you're going to have to give the herbs a couple weeks in order for it to work, because that's not instant. That is not instant. See, the medication is instant, but the holistic type of way is probably just that you using it, how you using it.
Okay. One thing I did want to touch on too is the fact that we do have a rapport with one another, and I know that you have some information, um, that books, uh, information for for everybody to check out, for people to check out, and if I'm not mistaken, they're available on Amazon.
Yes,
Um,
they
can
are.
you give us a little bit of information about your work?
So for
Work for home.
instance, I have created something, because I do the counseling part. I always look at, I'm always connected with the mind, body, and soul. And let me put this out there. If one of those areas is messed up, it can trickle down to the rest of three. Now, the question I'm going to ask the audience, do you think that if one of those areas is messed up, you can be fully fine? I will tell you the answer is no, because you need all three to work together and be aligned and synced. So for instance, I did this
Mind,
cartoon,
body.
adult cartoon book by a 30-year-old who was just having, her name is Zephrina, Moods, Mantras, and Moon. Why moods, mantras, and moons? Because our moods can go up, our moods can go down. But in the pray for Zephrina was out of control from work, job, no life balance. So what happened is she had to go think and go back to her childlike self. I'll put that out to the audience as well. When was the last time you did something childlike? So in the instance for Zephrina had to go to her childlike self. And certain things that she had to do, she actually had to do affirmations, which is in there. She had to go about her self-love. Again, it's not nothing wrong with loving on yourself first, because you need to love on yourself first before you can take it in love with someone else. And then she had to go back and think about the way she was raised and who would have birthed for her grandmother. So it was some ancestral stuff that went on with her. And then lastly, all together, she put together this tea to use as a part for her daily regimen at night to help her escape from the rest of the day. So that's Zephrina Moods, Mantra, and Moods. And the next one that I have, since I've been talking about different salves, I actually have this one called Sacred Sips and Salves, which is a recipe book. So, and it also has different things, like you hear now about fire cider. So what does fire cider do? It helps with your immunity and it helps with your metabolism. So I have a recipe in that for that. Dandelion. We might see them, but you can make a good dandelion tea, and it actually helps as a detox in your liver. And one of my favorites, as I was talking about earlier, if you have headaches, if you're a chronic headache person, using essential oils like peppermint, but there's also a way that you can make a salve, just using it, boiling it, making it with olive oil. Because what is olive oil? Olive oil is a good stencher, good thing. with some beeswax and peppermint essential oil. Let it put it in a tin and rub it on these temples. Again, your meridians. You're opening up things. You're opening up places. Derek looks
Information,
confused.
ma'am.
Look.
No, I'm trying to take it because this is like I said earlier, this is a lot of information that I had no clue of,
No
and
clue.
trying to take all this stuff, it's no clue.
So
I might know a
I
little bit of
will
stuff.
say, I will say on September the 4th in here in Denton, Maryland, at 6 to 7:30 at Aaron's place, I am actually doing a holistic health informational night because we know we have no control of what's going to be happening. We don't know what's going on in the world right today. A lot of people getting Medicaid cuts and Medicare cuts. So I'm a firm believer that history repeats itself, right? So back in the day, grandmom had a whole lot of stuff listed in her cupboard. So yeah, you can have your medications, but then what if you can't? Because here's what I want to say. Just like now, for those who may be taking diabetes in those injections, right? So my local pharmacy here where I live, I went in there, the sign says we no longer sell that anymore. Because what was happening? Because a lot of people use it now for a weight loss drug, right? They're using it for a weight loss drug. And guess what? Insurances are denying it. So for you persons who really need this medication for diabetes, what are you doing? What can you do? Because you can't get it unless you go to somewhere else. But then if it's happening locally, you don't think it's going to happen to big boxes like Walmart, CVS's, Walgreens? Yeah, it's coming. So what are you going to do? You may say I cut back is easy, lifestyle change, but what things can you do? Blood pressure, hibiscus tea. That's just something that you could use as an alternative to help lower your blood pressure. Different things like that.
So is with all the information that you gave us tonight, is this information in those books?
Yes. Yes.
And where can these books be found? Where can your books be
On
found?
Amazon, or people can contact me because I do have a few of them here and I can mail it out to them.
So
Yeah.
with your website, your website is bam right there. www.upfrontmindbodyandsoul.com is where you can find all the information on on Dr. Michelle Boulden-Hammond and her books, as well as I'm sure there are other. What other type of information do you have on your website?
So I have what services I do. So mostly I don't have all of them listed because I do need to update my change everything. There and actually I just recently this week became a natural skincare therapist where I can actually look at your skin and set you up with do an assessment to see, certain things that's going on with your skin. And it could be according to what you're eating, different things like that. So there'll be a whole thing that I have to go through with that. But getting back to before I got sidetracked, because I tell you this, I'm passionate about it, especially for our people of color. Nothing is witchcraft about it. Just think about you had to go back to the old time way. Go to your cupboard. We have a first aid kit, but have you thought about a holistic health kit? That means having your coconut oil, having your essential oils, having your bentonite clay to make a paste if you burn yourself. I mean, it's just different things like that. So that's what I'm going to be talking about in that course on September the 4th. I'm just getting it out there, the different modalities. Do infrared. I do infrared on Tuesdays there. I give it to the community for 1 hour. They come in, they laid in, I have a meditation, and then I do aroma point pressure using aromatherapy, using aroma essential oils with the hands too to help with hand tension, movement, arthritis, magnesium, I used to laugh about my grandmother now or my aunts and
Yeah.
mom, and they used to say, "Go get that, go get me a cup, give me some of that Epsom salt." I'm a firm believer because I use it now. Dr. Teal is my man.
Don't let your husband hear you say that. But
He knows because I put him in there too. He knows.
also, 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 there's another, there's some more information that you had that I'm going to bring up.
Yes, I actually would love because you always hear, "What's your favorite color? What's your favorite color?" So you really need to dab into if that's really your favorite color. So I got a free ebook for anyone who wants to pull that up and do the assessment in there. It's not a long ebook, but it's actually giving you some background about color therapy as well. Certain colors, regimen, certain things. It's very important that you understand that, if you're in a what we associate red with, rage, right, anger, different things like that. So it's good to know that, but it's also how you adapt and move beyond that to figure it out. So yeah, there's an assessment in there, and it'll tell you if you have more of this thing, you need to stick mostly to these colors. You know, yeah, it's a real nice little assessment in there for you.
All right, and uh, just to let everybody know, but thank you for the information too. But just so everybody knows, both of these links will be posted um in the descriptions with at the at another time in the episode. So there'll be clickable links so you can access Upfront Mind, Body, and Soul.com, Dr. Michelle Boulden-Hammond, and the link for the color therapy and other information that may be on the site. Um, I just wanted to know if there's any other information that you have that you feel will be pertinent to this episode for the night before we close out.
As I said, I gave the best one I ever because again, the National Institute of Health. Yeah, I know we got a lot of funding cut back. That's where a lot of researchers, a lot of cures and diagnoses that they have for different diseases, health issues are put right there. Medlineplus.gov will give you everything. If you taking metformin, you want to know what kind of chemicals in it. If you got your 409 spray, you put in 409 and it'll tell you all the things that's inside there. Your supplement, I'm taking black cohosh for hot flashes. It can tell you the reactions or if I need to be or for any other type of medication. That is the best way to go. And again, I strictly say check with your provider, your healthcare provider, if you're gonna be using any type of supplements or any type of herbs, because again, some things can counter offset your medications if you're prescribed.
Thank you. Yeah, you have a lot of information, Dr. Michelle, Dr. Bolden, Dr. Hammond. But just for uh, informational purposes for people that will be watching for uh, live or people that will be watching later on YouTube or Facebook, can you give us some more information? Just one more information about the number of books that you
Oh
have written.
gosh,
'Cause
I done lost
you are
count.
I'm going to say well-rounded published author.
Oh gosh, so here's the thing. I've collaborated with a lot. There's a lot, like I said, I do everything that I do is based upon the mind, body, and soul, right? So I do personal growth and development. I go around and speak different places. I host workshops, leadership. When it comes down to leadership, there's some other stuff that's coming down the line, and a couple of something that happened in 2023 that's coming majorly huge for this group of Step into Leadership Greatness book that I was in. Various books that I'm in. I'm actually working on another anthology with using other modalities. with other people who are practitioners, alternative practitioners. Last year, we did one that's called Daughters of Healing, um, Remedies, Recipes, and that is on that phenomenal. Because let me tell you, go get yourself some parsley. Parsley has a lot of medicinal benefits in it. So yeah, I have one lady, which you wouldn't think, who's from African American, who is an Ayurvedic. So she does Ayurvedic. That that's more on it. That's more in India, that type of thing. But using some of the modalities that she had in her chapter, talked about how her daughter who had kidney problem or transplant or liver, and she was using these medicinal teas, and it actually helped her daughter live. It's just so many things. Voice. We have one person who uses their voice, got it, man. We have the hug and healer. We have another sound practitioner. We have a person with massage talk about headaches. Is your headache based upon just having a headache? Could it be attached to stress? Different things like that. I have another person who's a herbalist in there. So yeah, daughters of healing, remedies, recipes. That was last year too. Actually, it'll be a year in October that was released. Yeah, that's another good book to go get if you really want to learn anymore.
You got a lot going on. I just wanted to speak on one thing, and I'm definitely gonna close out this time because I'm getting hungry. But you mentioned about I heard you mention about parsley and the medicinal purposes with parsley, and I'm pretty sure it has some medicinal purposes because it does not add flavor to my food. That's all I wanted to say. That was
You
it.
can make a
That was
tea. You can make a tea. You make a tea. It can be like a sedative. Yeah. And here's the thing. I always try to increase my level of education. I'm a all the time learner. So today I had a great thing to go. Now, let me say this. I had a great time to go and be in the wild with one time with llamas doing sound bowls, the animals. And then today a herbal class, which, and I've never looked at it this way, that most of your greenery, they're mostly in the mint families. So it was very intriguing, but it made me think about back then when my aunt used to have us go pick those berries, which now I know is elderberries now. When my aunt used to have us go pick up the dandelions to take down cousin Shirley's house so she can make the dandelion wines and stuff like that. But history is going to repeat itself in that area because, again, think about it. Most of your medicines, where do they come from? The plant.
it's just a recycle. It's just being recycled to the
Yeah,
revolving door.
yeah.
The whole aspect of life. But
A
that's
whole a
just like
whole processing, a whole processing thing. If you just left it alone and use it the way as a tea, maybe. But we know
you know.
that generate that money. Yeah, generate that money.
I have to definitely end this episode for the night. But I do want to say thank you because you shared a lot of information that a lot of us are definitely going to be able to hold on to, and hopefully some of us will be able to take part and use ourselves in our own personal healing and growth. So I
Yeah.
just want to say thank you again for the night,
You're
Dr. Michelle
welcome.
Boulden-Hammond. Thank you everybody
Thank
for
you,
watching.
Mr. Life Chat Podcast.
Thank you for being a guest and thank you for coming on. Um, Thank you everybody for watching, being a part of Life Chat Podcast for the night. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Life Chat Podcast. Have a great night. Be safe. Be blessed. If I can get it all. Okay.